Welcome to my weekly self-important Magic the Gathering show. As promised, we're going to do... Nope, that's the wrong window. I want to be over here. We're going to do Boros Bolink. That I started with the end of last episode. And then over here, I do have the Secrets of Strixhaven and Secrets of Strixhaven Commander decks. Legendary creatures, non-reprints of course, for the commander decks, and we'll look over those after we go over the decks I said I'd go over. So first up, the Neutrinos. I remember dismissing them just by reading the Alliance part and then not reading the second part, but to go over it again, they are 2 generic, a red and a white for a 2/4 elf rebel, with flying, and Alliance. Whenever another creature you control enters, the Neutrinos get +1/+0 until end of turn. When the Neutrinos attack, exile up to 1 target creature you own. So nothing that you've taken control of. Oh, but it also says own, so if someone else stole your stuff. This is a good way to get it back. That's cool. Then return to the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. That is sweet. So they can break mind control. That is cool. And then, as you might notice, I did go over my land. I added Dimension X as my 37th land, even though it's not like one of the better ones. But that's just because it was a Ninja Turtle land, and I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Sorry, I had throat issues. Mass Disruption, got my usual 6. We have 11 pieces of ramp. That could probably go down. I notice I don't put in like the more expensive ramp pieces, like ramping into higher ramp. And that'll probably be a problem in a lot of my decks in the future, but I'm not too worried about it now. And then 12 pieces of targeted removal, all in white, all white ones. Let's see, anything... Oh, Avatar's Wrath. This is one that I probably should remember to put into more white decks. Choose up to 1 target creature, then airbend all other creatures. They're exiled, and while they're exiled, the owner may cast them for 2 rather than its mana cost. Until our next turn, our opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. And then we exile Avatar's Wrath. Yeah. A board wipe for people who don't like board wipes is how I choose to view that one. Whew. Sorry. Breathing. Then we got our Delay Blast Fireballs, Mazy Immortal, Vandal Blast, Shattering Spree, Settle the Wreckage, stuff you've seen from me before. Vanish into Eternity. I started adding this. It's 2 and a white, exile target non-land permanent. But if that non-land permanent is a creature, it is actually 5 and a white. So basically, it's just one more. Well, I guess it's disenchanted, but it's basically everything not a creature or land for 3. So I'm like, oh, I'll put that in. And then emergency exited. Oh, Get Lost, that trades a creature, enchantment, or planeswalker, but they get a map with 2 map tokens. I'm fine with all that. Erode is from Secrets of Strixhaven. It's a path to exile, except it hits planeswalkers and it's destroy, not exile. But they get the basic land from their library. That's where it's like path. So it is better, but also not as good. So what kinds of stuff? Oh, and I did EDH. EDH Rec reminded me that Vandal Blast existed. And also it was like, oh yeah, Avatar's Wrath. So let's go. How many spaces left do we have? Hold on. We have 33, I think. Yes. So I think we're gonna want to put in our standard issue protection stuff. So Swiftfoot boots, lightning greaves, uh, mithril coat. We can make them assassins. I just thought it would also be good maybe if they couldn't be blocked. And although, you know what, Ward 2 isn't as good as the other ones, so I want the mirror shield, I don't know. But we'll do Whisper's Silk Cloak because that can't be blocked and has Shroud. So we're at 71. Even though we won't be like searching our deck for these, so we kind of just are hoping for random chance of getting one of these four. And that probably means that these four could have been any four other things. And honestly, we should probably be grabbing card draw instead. But let's see what else we can put in this deck. Because I'm probably going to go more towards bracket 1 or bracket 2, just because I make bad decks, and that's my excuse. So let's see what else has Alliance. Let's see. Boss's Chauffeur. Oh, it is mildly interesting. Boss's Chauffeur enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to 1, plus the number of other creatures you control. Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Boss's Chauffeur. When Boss's Chauffeur dies, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token for each +1/+1 counter on it. Neat, but I don't think so. This one gets +1/+1 counters when other things enter. This thing gets its power doubled until end of turn. I don't know if that is actually good enough, in all honesty. Because we don't know how many things are going to be coming in and out. +1/+0 until end of turn. +1/+1 counter, but this is easier to cast creature. So we are going to put them in here. Because this one costs 4, this one costs 5, this one costs 3. This one gives us more creatures. Actually, you know what? We're going to do these +1/+1 counter ones. Because if this manages to die, while these two are on the board, they get a lot of counters on them. Little Orphan Amphibian Leto over here. She gets a +1/+1 counter, or we get food, or we scry, depending on how many things show up. Oh, this one puts a +1/+1 counter on a different creature we control. I mean, it could be itself, and it also brings a friend, so that's good. This creature gets a buff till end of turn. Oh, this is the unreliable impulsive draw. This does 1 damage to a target opponent. That's funny to me. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a treasure token. If this is the first or second time this ability has happened. Otherwise, you may pay X. If you do, Rose Room Treasure deals X damage to any target. I like that. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. If it's the second time this ability is resolved, you draw a card instead. Even if you only scry 1 once a turn, that's fine. Oh, this doesn't have Alliance. This is just Alliance in the name, and it mentions its own card name in its text. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature and opponent controls can't block this turn. If this is the second time this ability resolved this turn, that creature attacks during its controller's next combat phase if able. Not goaded, specifically. Oh, this is the superior version of Raphael over here, because it brings a friend and it does 2 damage to each opponent instead of target. This thing gets abilities. Oh, this one's also technically better than Raph because it says 1 damage to each instead of 1 damage to target. But they also both... I'm going to see for non-tagged Alliance stuff. Okay. Oh, this one has Offspring. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. I mean, little pings that'll make you an unnecessary target, probably. Bloodline Pretender ain't gonna matter for here. We are not going to Soul Family. I'm gonna dodge over that. When Exuberant Fuseling enters the battlefield, and whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. Okay, that. Oh, Enduring Courage. Whenever another creature you control enters, it gets +2/+0 and haste. Given our other stuff, haste is good. And because it's an enduring, it will come back as a creature if it dies. Oh, Electric Seaweed. The level that ended many people's attempts to beat the original Mutant Ninja Turtle game on the NES. It's not impossible, but it is darn difficult. When this creature enters until end of turn, whenever another creature dies, okay, so that's meh. +1/+0 until end of turn. That's specifically goblins. +1/+1 till end of turn. +1/+1 till end of turn. Like the 1 life, but the... Honestly, Guide of Souls... Like, we're not putting in for the life, but we're putting for the fact that, like, every 3 turns we can give something, flying. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may put X +1/+1 counters on Hamlet back Goliath, where X is the creature's power. Might as well. 2 life, 1 life, 1 life. Power 2 or less specifically. +1/+1 until end of turn. Oh, this deals 2 damage to it. 1 life. 1 life. Nope. 2 or less. 2 or less. Deals damage to each opponent. I mean, if you're going to be a pingy little jerk, you may as well play all the pingy little jerk cards. Oh, Terror of the Peaks, of course. Oh, this thing eventually flies. And it's +1/+1 counters. It's another ping all of our opponents like a jerk. Power 2 or less. Salt Skitter. Whenever another creature comes into play, remove Salt Skitter from the game, return it to the player under its owner's control at end of turn. That's interesting, but it doesn't feel helpful in a way that would help us. Perforos. The one that deals damage when stuff enters. Okay, let's see if this Prowl does anything. Whenever Prowl attacks, exile up to 1 other target tapped creature or vehicle. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. Okay. Whenever a player pays a card exiled with Prowl, you draw a card and convert Prowl. Okay, that's interesting. Whenever another creature or vehicle enters the battlefield under control, put a +1 on counter if second time. That's actually interesting, and I do like Prowl. There we go. Ogre Battle Driver, that's the thing I was looking for. This is basically the enduring thing, except it don't come back. Okay. That put us up to 93, surprisingly enough. And it looks like I have to move some stuff around, because this went into Anthem, but his friend went into Pump. I'm going to put them both into Anthem, though they're not Anthems. Haste enablers. You are burn. You are inferior burn, but still burn. And you are all counters. Both of you technically do the card draw. That's correct. I'm going to put you in counters. That's the part I care about. I'm going to put you in... I'm going to hide you in burn. And I'm going to put you in counters just because I don't want you by yourself in tokens. There we go. The thing is with all of these, I don't have a whole lot of things that I would want to actually, well, I guess you do go into ramp just fine. Ones that would, stuff that I would actually want to, oh, Mighty Mutinimals is one that'd be fine. It's like basically which one, which effect do I don't feel bad not getting. I guess if I don't mind them being in the fray, one of the haste enablers isn't bad. Or this specific Raphael. Honestly, the burn ones would probably be high on the list of stuff that I would, except for Terror of the Peaks, because that does more than 1 or 2 damage usually. Okay, good. So before I look at that, I want to see how I did with colors. Oh, red caught up nicely since it was mostly white. Should also look at how much mana, what my mana curve is. Okay, I'm going to want more stuff on the high end. So I'm going to order CMC. And I liked how I'm so happy they started. Oh, there's actually not as many things as I thought there would be. So let's see what's at the high end. Threefold Thunder Hulk. Enters with counters on it. Boy, garbage. Enters or attacks. We get stuff back from our graveyard. Enters with shield counters on it. Get rats. 3 damage that we can divide. We can give a bunch of stuff double strike. But it's a bunch of creatures with different powers. I don't know how well that'll go in this deck, but I'm willing to try it. With Sigurd as Vanguard. It's a flying 3/3 with flash for 5. Power 2 or less. Nope. We're going for leaves. Ah, win. Win. Thank you. The ever was not necessary. Food. No, we're going to the high end. Next page. Petrodon? When Petrodon enters, remove 2 target lands from the game. Oh, that doesn't do much. Angel of Serenity. When Angel of Sinner enters the battlefield, you may X up to 3 other target creatures from the battlefield and/or creatures from graveyards. Okay, absolute garbage for what we're doing. What do we got here? World Gorger Dragon. Oh, this is the thing that exiles all your other stuff until it leaves. That's ridiculous. This deals 6 damage to target creature. That's mildly interesting. But it costs... Also realize that Neutrinos technically gets around summoning sickness when it does its blinky thing. Enters, it deals 2 damage to target creature. When it leaves, it deals 4 damage to target creature. Oh, I like that. It's not a whole lot, but that's funny. Although it has Echo, so that's not fun. You kind of just, you're paying 6 to get that 6 damage, because I probably wouldn't pay Echo for it. Because you would constantly be repeating the Echo. Okay, Fear of Abduction would be obnoxious to keep track of. That's an Eldrazi. Admonition Angel has a heavy white pip cost, and it deals with landfall. And leaving the battlefield, it's actually bad. Soulgorger Org is terrible. That's that other thing, but smaller. Nope. Oh, Meadow Boon. When it leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. Whenever another elemental you control enters, when this creature leaves... Nope, okay. Return the thing. Nope. Enters with a +1/+1 counter, and when it leaves, it puts its +1/+1 counters on a different creature you control. I actually do like that because we could load it with counters and move those counters by blinking it at the beginning of combat. Well, look, that is the exact same darn card, except one's a 1/1 and one's an 0/2. We don't have any... if food tokens were a better token... I'm not saying food tokens are the worst token. I'm just saying that they're not a helpful token for this deck. But yeah, and then I think... Yeah, even though it costs 6, I do like that. We're going to see what we have left. 4 cards. We'll visit our friends at EDH Rec again. For just creatures. Oh, Solemn. Oh, that's a thing I forgot to search for. When this creature enters. Oh, and I could have extra combats. Oh, yep. See, that's the thing I forgot. Because I had the whenever. So when this creature enters. Singular. How many pages is this? Yeesh. And I think, and I know this will mean I've wasted a lot of time, I think we're actually going to get, if there's a lot of good stuff in here, I think it's safe to get rid of everything. Well, maybe not the Agate Instigator, but a lot of the stuff in the burn section I could probably get rid of. Just to give more room for other stuff. Let's order this by CMC as well. because I want to see what the higher end is. Although on page 29. Ah, that's if you cast it. Go down to the bottom. Oh yeah, Meteor Golem. Although that's the thing asking to be blocked. Because it's only a 3/3. But still, getting a second Meteor Golem hit in one turn. Then there's also the whenever this creature or another creature, I think that's another one. Anyway, enters 4 damage to target creature opponent controls. I don't think that's worth the 9 mana, but I see it has assist for it because it's Battle Bond. No, not for that. Not for that. That only cares if you cast it from your hand. Oh, the Moonshaker, of course. The Cracker Hoof Behemoth. This gets us more elemental. This gets us... This comes into play as 3 creatures, but I'm not sure if that's enough for 8. That deals 5 damage as we choose, divided amongst the number of targets. Cares about the extra cost being paid. Each creature without flying. When this creature enters, creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. Yes. Now, is there something else? Yeah, that will replace Sigarda's Vanguard. And I think I will start the Tough Turtle. That also says target opponent. So Raphael's a shocking sharpshooter. Mildly interesting. Yep. Yep. That's 2 damage. And we have this mana sink right here that I'm fine with for now. You know what? We'll leave the boss's chauffeur because it explodes into creatures. This brings a friend. I do like that. And it also doesn't put it on itself, necessarily. Tended to keep this one just because it's from the same set, but... This one can put it on. Oh no, this is when it leaves. Oh yeah, this one comes in with one, and then yeah, it gives it to other ones. That's fine. Scry isn't good enough. Sorry, Lita. 2+1 counters and flying, like, but that's stuff that might end up being taken off, which is fine, because I didn't want to gain 1 life. Okay, he has to attack to exile something. She can gain maybe 1 card a turn. But that gave us more room for better cards, if I'm being quite honest. That is only the creature, but that's still fine. Because 6 damage is a lot. Yeah, we have the mana spike at 2, but we're doing slightly better at the higher end, and that's what I'm hoping to do. But just because they're big mana cards doesn't mean they're going in the deck. Enters, it deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of mountains you control. Well, this isn't mono red. When it enters the battlefield, we get 2 birds. That's not really enough. Oh, we can just keep giving ourselves the monarch. But we have to be the monarch at the beginning of our turn to get a dragon, so I'm not too worried about that. It enters, destroys all walls. I don't even think the Arcades Sabbath player plays all walls anymore. Resolute Archangel is just wow. When it enters, if your life total is less than your starting life total, it becomes equal to your starting life total. We're just gonna be that is SDE right there, and I won't say what that means, and I don't care. We have the Sest of D's for that. Huh. Where's the one for mountains? This deals damage. This tucks a creature. I say that because this is about mountains you control, this is about plains you control. That is not equal. 3 damage to any target. No. Nope, that steals stuff and I'm not about that life. 2 damage to each creature and each player. Oh, Luminite Primordial enters and you swords to plowshares all of your opponents. You know what? Yes. I mean, I play swords to plowshares. Now we go down to the bottom. I guess I'll start from the top. That's faster. Destroy all tapped creatures. That's terrible for this deck. Tribute is interesting, but it would be better if this thing had something other than gaining haste. 4 damage to any target. We gain 5 life. These words are small. Oh, it has persist. Tap all other creatures. That's mildly interesting. Especially since it's coming into play when I'm attacking. It's just, it kind of sucks because then I can't defend. Oh, discover 5. Get a thing. Oh, wow, this... See, but we have to remember that it comes in tapped and attacking, so this little 1/1 for 6, not helping. Excuse me. Wisp Weaver Angel would let us blink another thing, and that's mildly funny. You know, I don't hate that, because this is a 4/4 with flying at least. Yeah, because then we would get a second something entering triggers. Just hydrating really quick. When this creature enters, exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Sure, that's some more removal. Huh, that is terrible. When it enters, everybody's life total becomes equal to the highest life total present. That grabs auras. Wait a minute. This might be really good. When Chancellor of the Forge enters the battlefield, put X/1/1 red goblin creature token with haste into the battlefield, where X is the number of creatures you control. Sure, I'll go with that. That goads. Destroys small creatures. Destroys land. Nah. I don't play in groups where that matters. But that is something you can think about. The Fault Grinder. When it enters the battlefield, destroy a land. Like, mass land destruction, we all know is rude. Unless someone's playing green. But targeted land removal is necessary in certain higher power games. Oh yeah, the Depth Shaker Titan. That'd be cool if we made any of those food tokens. There's that Kavu I decided I didn't want. Mostly because I think it's a 4/2 and it has... Oh, and it has Ecto. Yeah. Target creature with flying. That creates up to 3 goblins. Let's create some knights. Huh. That's just a free commander get into play, but it costs 6, so yeah. Amass zombies. Oh, when it enters, it deals 4 damage to each opponent. That's cool. Oh, when this creature enters, tap all creatures your opponents control. There we go. That's like that Thunder Bear, only good for us. Boy. Salt Road Pack Beast. We draw a card when it enters. That is a sad state of affairs. Though, like, we don't have good card draw. But honestly, I'd probably just put in those cheaper guys. But no, those come in tapped and attacking, and that's bad. I gotta remember that they come in tapped into attacking, because I'm not paying attention to power and toughness a lot. 3 shapeshifters. Wow, for some reason, the 4 damage to any target, I'm like, nah. But this, when it enters, a creature gets +4/+0 until end of turn. I'm like, oh, that's the other half of the great Drake making faces mean. Boy, I almost said that terribly. I guess it's because I know another creature I have will be attacking at least one. And having that thing deal more damage to a possible blocker, even though the damage could be done to the creature as well. I don't know. And this thing also has menace, so I think I will put the Bone Pit Brute in here, because I do feel like throwing this +4/+0 onto the Neutrinos will disincentivize blocking a little bit more. Unless they have flying chump blockers, and then or reach chumpers. Oh, the Gear Hulk. Oh, but I don't like milling myself. But then again, this deck isn't the greatest. You know what? We'll gamble with that. I'm not a fan, but I need to not be afraid of it. So we can either draw 3 cards, and besides, eventually they'll let us draw the cards. And it's a 6/6 with first strike, so. A lot of these I'm not even reading. I'm just kind of... Let's see where we're at. We're back at 95. Let's look at our mana existence. Okay. Honestly, I don't know what a good mana curve looks like. But the fact that they call it a curve makes me feel like that it should curve. And mine goes... and is kind of oddly shaped. This says removal, but that feels like more like it goes into the finisher category. Where's the finisher category? Over here. Oh yeah, now that I don't have the pump category anymore, I have something that I would put into it. Go back here and actually read stuff. Gain 4 life, become the monarch. This adds counters. When it enters, if you've attacked this turn, target opponent sacrifices a permanent. Well, all things considered, yeah, that's the thing that would have happened. Deal damage to any target. Counter on a creature. It explores. Search your library and/or graveyard. Oh, for a very specific planeswalker. +1 will counter on each other creature you control. Legendary card. Giant Typal Kindred. What's the current one? Is it Typal? I think it's Typal. There's also or another creature, but I don't know if I'm going to do that one. Where it counts itself and other creatures. Devotion to white. Oh, I like this one. It destroys a land, but they search their library for a basic. That feels fair. It's like, I'm not gonna de-ramp you, unramp you. I'm just getting rid of a problem land that I don't like. But again, I'm not playing at the level where I think I need to fear a whole lot of lands. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. I like that. Because that's, you know, you just don't blink this one when your opponent you plan on attacking has a lot of flyers anyway. This one creates 3 goblins. Noise Marines with its electric guitar. If you think I passed by something interesting because I was just skimming it, you can go ahead and tell me. That destroys an artifact or an enchantment. But the other one was kind of better, even though it was more expensive. Probably because it was more expensive. Okay, I am wearing socks and I need to take them off. My feet have been like, get these off of me. Stop touching me with cloth. There, that's a lot better. Target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Ooh, this is the kind of... Oh, but it has echo. Meh. Knights. Oh, this destroys a non-land permanent and they get a golem. It's just interesting that the ice lady is red. It is funny how there's like better things I could be doing if my deck was less straightforward. Oh, there's Solemn. That's going in. Could have put it in a lot earlier, but I just didn't want to do it while the EDH rec thing was up because that's just how I felt like doing it. But now these pages... What do you mean my signature is expired? I think that means I need to go up here. And Control X this. And do this. And do this. And do this. And wow, we only need 3 more cards. I think I can remove some of my ramp, like the marble diamond, the fire diamond, and Architect is being mean to me right now. And the cold steel heart, since it makes us choose a color. Now I got it one more time. Took that back down to 10, so that's fine. See how many ones have us draw a card, though we don't want to discard a card. The problem with these ones is that we get to draw 2 cards, but this thing's 1,000,000% dying. But you know what, that's fine. Same thing with the Spirited Companion. Same with the Kindly Customer. This thing can't attack. And I don't know if the Neutrinos can get around that rule. This one has flying, so it might still live. I do how like this is just a straight, not even that far apart power creep of this, because they're both 2/1s. They both draw a card and gain a life, but this one has flying. If I recall correctly, if you blink something with prototype, it comes in as a non-prototype form. Although that thing's still a 3/3, and that's still... Although it's a 3/3 double strike. Because it comes in as a new entity, and it doesn't care about the prototype. So yeah, you cast it as a prototype, and then it comes back as a 3/3 double strike. So that's good. Now what are we at? Somehow only... Oh yeah, because I took some stuff out. I'm going to put you in with the finishers. I'm looking at the Chancellor of the Forge, and I don't know how many creatures I would have in play for it. That's what's weird. Although, if this thing blew up, because it doesn't say non-token, if this thing gets murked, because it has to die, it's not a leaves, then that thing would come in and make a lot of goblins. How many creatures do I have? I have 31, but I feel like that's good. So one more creature. And this deck took over an hour because I was really reading stuff for once. Oh, Circuit Mender, duh. It enters, we gain, but we lose, it leaves, we draw. Though it costs 3, and I'm not sure if I... although, never mind, I have this over here that does both. But this also flies, and I was like, maybe it'll survive. Well, last card, we're going to hit EDH Rec again. Lorn of the Third Path, no. When she attacks for the first time, we get a second one. Oh, her, wow, I don't know how I... And that's non-token creatures we control. Yeah, I completely forgot about her. Although she only does it for non-token, but, you know, that's still a good final card for that deck. So, Boros Blink, I gotta take that and put that over here. And I gotta take their name, put that over here. You think I do all this stuff first, but nope, I don't do it until I make the deck. I do like how this deck turned out. Could it be better? Of course. Someone else could have made it. But I like what I did with it. And I'm glad I came back to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set for them. Because while this is Boros aggro, it's not equipment based. In fact, you could say this deck would be better if I took out the 4 pieces of equipment I have in this deck and put in 4 more anything else. But that's how it is. I said I would show these, but I also said I'd talk about this. But you know what? Let's do these first. Let's do Spiral Out. No. Let's get this one over with. This whole deck is a dumb joke. And prepared to either not get it, not think it's funny. So our commander is Zinnia, Valley's Voice. I don't know if I've done anything with them. Did I do Offspring, Jeskai Offspring on a previous episode? I do not remember. Blue, red, white for a 1/3 bird bard. Flying. Gets plus X plus O, where X is the number of other creatures you control with base power 1. I'm just grabbing this really quick. And of course doing that did that. Creature spells you cast have offspring too, which means you can pay 2 generic mana to create a 1/1 token that's a copy of the creature that you have cast. That is actually not a good ability in this deck unless I draw certain cards. Let's see, what do we got? Since it's called the Internet, our first section is called Internet Discourse, where we have Vandal Blast, which I use the image of Deadpool pretending to fart using a flamethrower. We also have Curse of the Swine. I really think that's actually a funny name for, you know, the pigs cursing on the internet at each other, turning into pigs. Memories of Nibelheim, people just reminiscing about Final Fantasy VII, and that somehow destroys a non-land permanent and puts a 1/1 human creature token in play. Blasphemous Act, if you've been on any message board ever, you know what this is. And then Internet Points is my ramp section. I like how this just kind of a black hole brain for being on the internet. Not everything's a reference. Mostly because I don't remember what this one would have been when I put it in. I just knew I wanted it as a piece of ramp. But I believe these talismans are all from the Fallout stuff, so they're all magazines. And just Mind Stone of Celos putting on a tiara. This, I don't know. Is it Signet? The jewels in the feet, I guess. Getting over it with Bennett Foddy again. Burrow Signet. I don't need to explain why this is internet. Zoria Signet. That just was that, and then the Avengers. And then lands, basic lands. This is, so let's see. Let's just go through these. These are just the arts I chose to use. That's Hatsune Miku. That's a bunch of fruit, I guess. That's just the picture I decided to use. Mystic Monastery. It's just taps for the colors. It's all Plaza of Heroes. The Triome. Okay, yeah, not everything is a reference. But this is the Transformers land secret lair. SpongeBob land secret lair. The Godzilla Japanese secret lair. Transformers, SpongeBob, Godzilla. Transformers, SpongeBob, Godzilla. Fallout. Technically Clue, I think. Well, it's the Murders at Carlov's Manor. I think this is a lot of this is just because I really wanted to put fancy arts. Is that really? I mean, I could have done the Doctor Who one. Let's do the Doctor Who one. Oh, I see. I just wanted to... At the time, I wanted to do the Final Fantasy ones. But I guess over time I changed my mind. That was from Clue. Okay, this one can stay Final Fantasy. I don't think this one has a whole lot of options. Future Sight. Okay, what is this section called? Oh, LOL Random. You probably have to be old like me to remember LOL Random. LOL Random. It's not referencing anything specific. It's just how some people thought LOL Random was the height of comedy. That was the brain rot of that particular era. It's like, haha, it's funny because it's random. No. And that's why I'm using the red destroy, but they get something from their destroy or exile, and they get something from their deck. And then we have cards from the Sonic the Hedgehog secret lair, the Transformers secret lair, and the SpongeBob secret lair. And remember, all of these creatures have offspring. And then we have stealing OCs. There's a thing you used to have to worry about. Plankton is actually Skrelv? Is that his name? Yeah, Skrelv, Defector Might. It's a 1/1 for 1 with Toxic 1, which means if it deals damage to a player, they get 1 poison counter. Can't block, but you can pay 1 white mana or 2 life, tap, choose a color, another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn. So not quite protection, interestingly enough. It might not... so it won't protect from board wipes, either destruction, destruction based or damage based, but it'll protect it from a lot of other things. Squidward is actually the guy that says if your creature is blocked, you can return it to your hand, and then if one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. And Mr. Krabs is actually the 017 Leviathan Crab, and that's funny. And then I think we covered... oh, that is all the cards in that secret layer too. I didn't do all of the cards in the SpongeBob because I think only these 3 were legal in these colors. And then I think we've seen all of these when we did the Transformer month. And then because Goldbug is in the deck, I kind of had a section for heroes. I named it the boys because the show was popular when I first put this deck together, I think. Or at least I was getting into it. So we have the Hero of Light, which is actually Adeline Resplendent Cathar, which whenever we attack for each opponent, we get a 1/1 white human that's attacking them, or a planeswalker they control. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact they control, Avalanche of Sector 7 deals 1 damage to them. That punishes them for having mana rocks. Whenever a legendary creature with mana value 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you become the Monarch. That's bound to happen. At the beginning of your end step, if you're the Monarch, you get 2/1 humans. You get 2 1/1 humans. Alexios, that's the one that you can give to your opponents to attack for you. might as well give it use the fancy printings for these ones as well. I really am a fan of this particular printing. I don't even know how you get them. They're in the Commander, but like, really? Are they really in the Commander product? Aragorn, King of Gondor. When Aragorn, King of Gondor enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. Whenever it attacks, up to one target creature can't block this turn. If you're the Monarch, creatures can't block this turn. That's pretty sweet. Whoops, nope, I missed because they put it in the middle this time. Faramir, this is the one where at the beginning of your end step, choose an opponent. At the beginning of that player's next end step, you draw a card if they didn't attack you. Otherwise, you get 3 humans. Oh, what's this section called? Because that's not in the Steel and OC section. Oh no, that's in the boys. Because this. Because it's. Because while I don't have any of the people from that road trip, I have their car. And the Regalia, whenever it attacks, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. That land goes in the battlefield tapped. And the rest of the cards go in the bottom of your library in a random order. Crew 1. And then over here we have Stealing OCs. That's original characters if you're not in the know. Legend rule doesn't apply to permanency control. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1. This is one of the cards that needs to be in play for the deck to work. Because if you might remember, our commander gives our creatures offspring. And I believe every creature in this deck, except for several of the creatures in this section, are legendary. And the offspring would also be legendary. And I think you might have put together the silliness of this deck. This bird gets all of these other creatures children. I'm just going to say it that way. Even the robots. Because that's a thing on the internet. Anyway, each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1. Each non-token creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control with the same name. So, yeah. So the main one gets +1/+1 for the other one that exists, because there's only going to be the 2. Kadric, Soul Kindler. The legend rule doesn't apply to you. To tokens we control. Whenever another non-token legendary permanent enters the battlefield under your control, you pay 1. If you do, to create a token that's a copy of it, that token gains haste. And then you have to sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Helm of the Host. To create. This creates non-token legendaries. Or creates non-legendary tokens. So they won't get the +1/+1 from this. The legend rule doesn't matter. But they would still give the original +1/+1 for sharing a name. This creates a non-legendary token. This turns all creatures into the same creature, except the other ones aren't legendary. So if we want to make one creature really big with the mirror thing, Sagashima removes our legend rule, and this comes into play as a copy of another creature. I do believe different instances of Offspring stack. So if we copy our commander first, we can pay just an extra kicker of 2 for extra Offspring. Spark Double, not legendary, I believe. Yep. Mirror Gallery. Legend rule doesn't apply. Costs more than the other one, so that's obvious power creep, but you know. Quantum Misalignment. Makes a non-legendary copy, and also will cast it again on your next turn. And this is a non-legendary copy, but also has Myriad. So yeah, this deck with its stupid thing that could have much better creatures. Although this is another one of those things where now that Turtles is out, I could probably get rid of all three of these SpongeBob cards. Although Mr. Krabs is funny because it's an 017. And see if there's anything from the turtle or app. No, you know what? I was almost ill. We're not doing the Avatar set because those are minors. But we can go T creature set TMT T legend because and then see if there's anything that actually has like a ability. Like the thing is that I want them to be like mildly, at least somewhat important characters. Even though some of them might just end up more in the boys. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of all three of these because they're not like that guy's card draw. I know, but yeah, let's not. And while the bird helping plankton have children is mildly funny. Agent Bishop isn't important enough of a character, but I'm sure someone wrote that fanfic, and characters being male actually is kind of funny because that is definitely a thing on the internet. But that's only up to 2 creatures. Order color. There we go. That just. Leonardo Big Brother, because it gets +1/+1 for each other creature control. That's probably a good idea. Nope. Big nope on that one. Affinity for artifacts. The Casey Joneses. Dawn and Leo Problem Solvers doesn't really go in this deck. Too bad that says artifact creatures. This gives us extra combats. You know what? I probably should check to see what all of the... Like, we know what these do. We know what these do, because they just make creatures but more. I should remind myself what these do. Okay, this is bolster, so the weakest thing gets slightly stronger, because Optimus Prime is cool like that. And then when he dies, he comes back, which is cool. And when you attack, bolster 2. And then if that thing successfully does combat damage, we flip him back over. Cool. This is the one that we have our opponents attack for us. Oh, Krang can come in and make all of our Transformers have all that stuff. Mildly interesting. Remove one or more +1/+1 encounters from among artifacts you control. Target player gets a bunch of colorless. Can't be used to cast non-artifact spells. And then we convert him, and then we played triple blue to convert him, and he gets +1/+1 counters on him if he has none. Okay. Rubbing my eye. Prowl attacks, exile, and they can play it. And if someone plays something exiled by him, we can do this. Whenever another creature or vehicle enters the battlefield under control, he gets +1/+1 counter. And then if it's the second time, we convert him. Okay. Whenever you gain life, he has lifelink. You may convert Ratchet. If you do, return target artifact card with mana value less than or equal to the amount of life gained from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then you can... Oh yeah, that's right, you convert him as part of the thing. Whenever one or more non-token artifacts you control are put into the graveyard from the battlefield, convert Ratchet once a turn. Once a turn is important because if a bunch go on the stack, you can flip them back and forth for whatever reason. This guy just helps our humans. Oh yeah, she's actively terrible in this deck because she needs heroic. We need to target her with spells. Or any of our creatures. And we're not targeting our creatures with spells. She is actively not a helpful card in this deck because I don't think we have anything. Wait, is it what kind of spell? Hold on. Oh, we're doing it like once because we have Super State over here. Sonic puts +1/+1 counters on everything we have that has flash or haste, and then we get treasure when they deal when they are dealt damage. This gets us treasure, and we can win the game. Amy cares about equipment, which we do have a non-zero number of equipment. Miles, actually cares about our vehicles. Okay, that's actually mildly funny that there is a tiny bit of synergy in this deck. In this stupid meme deck. You draw a card if it has flying, otherwise it gets flying, so that's cool. Actually, wow, there's a lot of equipment in here because of the Sonic. There we go. Huh. And the bolster is good because it makes all the because that means Optimus Prime cares about all the children. Okay. It's just that RC only cares about exactly one other card in this deck. Oh no, too, because Guff can rewrite history. So the backside of RC cares about 2 cards in this deck. Unless I want to Chaos Warp my own stuff. Oh wait, no. Vile Duplication, but not the Nano Gene conversion. And Quantum Misalignment, so more than I thought. Still not a whole lot, but it's greater than 0, which was my initial thing. Well, I actually managed to have like removal in this deck. I don't like Blasphemous Act, but it fits the stupidity of the deck. Also, anything that cares about artifacts. But yeah, we'll put in the this Warlord. Just dang. I don't know where you get this version, but that is going for money, isn't it? This is probably like the super foil bling version. That's wild. I like this version. How many free spots do I have? Just 2 more, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to TMC. Donatello might end up in this deck just because of the non-zero number of robots. Wait, no. Do this first. Nope, that's the only printing. Because she copies other things. Spider-Man set. I don't... Oh, that... SPE and SPM. Spidman. Because we can also do Chameleon Master of Disguise. I don't think he had another version, but I want to check really quick. Oh, right, the online only version. Now, was that the last two? Yes. Though now, I kind of want to get rid of Krang. Because it only affects 7 cards in the deck. Chameleon and Irma stealing your OCs. So now we have room for one more. If we had more menace in this deck, Jaden Jameson would be a shoo-in. Oh, it didn't have any commander decks, that's right. That's Alara. Okay, I'm just looking for if there's someone from this set that won't make me sick. Nope. I mean, that's funny, this one, but it doesn't really do anything for the deck. Oh, we'll just have Combustion Man. There we go. That's weird, and it's actually kind of good. Whenever it attacks, although, actually, you know what? Offsprings of Combustion Man are terrible. You know what the walls of Bossing say? Don't ask questions. $30 card. If indeed you can believe it. Having a section called protection probably is really funny. Yep. So, there we go. Silly joke. That slightly got better. As long as we can get the walls of Bossing Say out, then we can protect all the children. So, Spiral Out is a deck that I thought of when I saw a card in the Ninja Turtles set. Because I was like, oh, we're getting a lot of that specific effect. I think it was Lessons from Life. Draw 3 cards, you may put a land card from your hand onto the library. Because it reminded me... Oh, put a land... Really? This counted as... I guess because you draw more cards than you put lands into play. Because good old Growth Spiral, and that's why it's called Spiral Out. Draw a card, put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. So this has every card from the time of me making this deck that says draw card, put land from hand onto battlefield. And that's why Gretchen Titchwillow is our commander, because she's an 04 for 2 that you can pay 2 green and blue to do that. Insidious Fungus is a creature where it costs 1 green for a 1/2, and then you can pay 2 generic to sacrifice it to draw a card and put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Coiling an Oracle. When it enters the battlefield, you reveal the top card of your library. If it's land, you put it in the battlefield. Otherwise, you put that card in your hand. So that's not exactly the same, but it's close. Explore. You may play an additional land a turn. Draw a card. Same thing with different wording. Growth Spiral, probably not the original, but that's the one we're going. Joint Exploration. You can pay, it's 1 in the blue, but you can pay a green. You can scry 2, draw a card, and then if you kicked it, you put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Seymour. This is Kenyan Bonder Prodigy. Isn't he a game? Oh, he was taken off the Game Changer list because as a commander, people will see him coming, and if he's just kind of in your deck, then he's not that big of a threat because you can only ignore him so many times. You only need to remove him so many times. Usually once. Although in green you have ways of bringing it back. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, you get an additional land. You get an additional mana that it produced. So if you tap for green, you get additional green. If it taps for 2 colors, you pick 1, I assume. And then you can pay 7 to look at the top 5 cards of the library. Put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield. The rest in the bottom of the library in a random order. That is not a Growth Spiral. That's just in the deck because it's good. Nissa, Steward of Elements. It's a Planeswalker with an X, so it comes in with X loyalty counters. +2, so you can have it come in with 0 if you just want her to die. But minimum of 3, but that's only 1 loyalty counter. But it can go up to 3 because you scry 2. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card or a creature card with confirmed mana cost less than or equal to the number of loyalty counters on Nissa, you may put it on the battlefield. And that's a 0. And then untap up to 2 target lands you control. They become 5/5 elemental creature tokens with flying and haste until end of turn. They're still lands. Unlikely to do that. But she gets a land or a creature. On the trail, whenever you draw your second card each turn, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. You may look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. If you don't, put a card from among them into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Archdruid's Charm. Search your library for a creature and land card and reveal it. Put it into the battlefield tapped if it's land, otherwise you put it into your hand and shuffle. And then you can exile an artifact or enchantment, or you can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature control, and it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. When Elvish Rejuvenator enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library and land into the battlefield tapped, the rest on the bottom. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a land card onto the battlefield, the rest on the bottom at random. And then you can also pay 1 green and blue tap. Exile target card from a graveyard. If a creature card was exiled this way, we get a food. When enters, you may search your library for a basic force, put into your hand. When a land enters the battlefield under control, if you control 7 or more lands, you exile her and she comes back as this, and reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, it goes into the battlefield, otherwise it goes into your hand. So obviously it's not just growth spiral, it's also anything that's like half growth spiral. As long as it puts the land into the, as long as it draws you the card or puts the land into play or something like that. Oh, and then she makes a 4/4 Ashaya, which is not as good as when Ashaya got her own card. Untap up to 6 target lands. They all become 6/6s that are still lands. Scale the heights. Put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. You gain 2 life. You may play additional land this turn. Draw a card. Spelunking. When it enters, draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. If you put a cave into play, you gain 4 life. Lands you control enter the battlefield untapped. That part's kind of important. Uro. It does the escape thing. So you automatically sacrifice it if you didn't do the escape cost, which is you cast it from your graveyard for the 2 green, 2 blue. Exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. But when it enters or attacks, you gain 3 life, draw a card, and then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Michelangelo, Improviser. It has sneak, so you can do the thing during the declare blockers step, and if it hadn't been blocked, you can return a tapped thing that hadn't been blocked to your hand and put this into play for the sneak cost. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may put a creature and or land card from your hand onto the battlefield. That's like half of Growth Spiral just without drawing in cards, and also you can get a creature instead. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you may put it into the battlefield. If you don't, it goes into your hand. And it's on a 2/4 creature. It's just it's a tap ability that you have to pay 1 for. Shuffle your library, then reveal the top card. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Oh, that's neat. If it's a land card, you may put it in the battlefield and return unexpected results to your hand. Oh, that's neat. So if you either get to cast a free spell or a land, and you get to cast the spell again later. Sacrifice a creature. If you do draw a card, then you may put a creature card and or land card from your hand onto the battlefield, or return 1 or 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. Oh, Ashaya Soul of the Wild, just because she's the size of all of your lands, and all of your non-token creatures are also lands. Cavalier of Thorns. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Put a land card from among them onto the battlefield and the rest into the graveyard. Whenever this creature dies, you may exile it. If you do, put another target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Okay. I don't like putting stuff in my graveyard, but you know, we have a lot of stuff in here. And maybe you want to put some of the stuff in the graveyard just because. I don't think we have recursion. Whenever this deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library. You may put a creature card and or a land card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom in random order. On the bottom of your library. And when it dies, it becomes this land. And then if you that taps for green. And then if you fulfill some let's see, it looks like if makes me have to flip it again. You can pay 2 and a green if you control 10 or more permanents to turn this back into a creature as a sorcery. Where were we? Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose one. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card among them into the battlefield tab. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order, or you can gain 4 life. This is a Planeswalker. Gain 3 life. Reveal the top card of your library. Put a land card from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest into your hand. Oh, you're looking at the top 2 cards anyway, and you're revealing them. Creatures you control get +5 and trample until end of turn. That's at 12. That's probably never going to happen. Power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. Nyx Plume Ancient just triples our mana for permanents tapped. Old Gnawbone gives us treasures. Jadzi Oracle of Arcavios. Discard a card, return her to your hand. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it by paying 1 rather than playing its mana cost. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. It doesn't say tapped. And then the backside is a spell that don't matter. You may put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Then, if you control 8 or more lands, you may discard a card. If you do, return this to your hand. Okay, well that's cool. And then we go up here. Oh, let's do the like the one-offs. Clone Legion, just for each creature target player controls, we get a token that's a copy of that, and we can choose ourselves if we want to for whatever reason. But it's better to pick someone else because then we don't have. Because unless they're playing a mirror box deck where they're breaking the legendary rule, but they don't have like a creature in play that's breaking it for them, we want to pick someone else. Illusionist Gambit, that's the one where if we get attacked, we can tell them to attack someone else. We don't tell them who to attack, just to attack someone else. 37 lands. Oh, the Springheart Nantuko. That's the landfall where we get a copy of a creature. It doesn't say non-token copy. Oh, but we have to pay 1 and a green for it. But if we don't do that, we get the fail state of a 1/1 green insect. Let's see what's in our draw section. Green Sun Twilight. Reveal the top X +1 cards of your library. I'm checking something really quick. Okay, good. Oh no, I didn't. 1, 2, 3. Not that window. This window. Reveal the top X. It's an X spell, 1 and an X. Reveal the top X +1 cards of your library. Choose a creature card and or a land card from among them. Put those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. If X is 5 or more, instead put the chosen cards onto the battlefield or in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. So yeah, you just have to pay a total of 6 mana. but you still only get uh, that's still looking at the top 6 cards of your library. I hope that wasn't too terrible to listen to, but my nose is being a nose. Genesis Hydra. When you cast this spell, reveal the top X cards of your library. You put a non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. And then it gets X +1/+1 counters on it. So that's not quite the spiral because it's not getting lands, but still, that's neat. Titus as Thrasios. Scry 1, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, you can put it on the battlefield, otherwise you draw. That is still the effect. Oh, I see what's on. Did that, and then that made it take up more space. Draw 2 cards, then you may put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. I see. It's under draw section if it draws more than 1 card, or apparently if we get to scry first. Kiora, the Crashing Wave. Until your next turn, prevent all damage that would be dealt to and by target permanent and opponent controls. Draw a card, you may pay an additional land this turn. And you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, you get a 9/9 blue Kraken. Huh. That's worth trying for. You're at 2, so it has to go pretty hard. Lessons from Life. Draw 3 cards, put a land from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped. Power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. When attacks, draw a card, then you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Whenever a land you control enters, you gain a life and draw a card. So it doesn't. So it's like the inverse. You get to draw a card just for playing a land. Draw 3 cards. You may play an additional land this turn. You may play additional land on each of your turns, and then whenever a land you control enters, you may draw a card. When Bonnie Paul enters, create that ox back there. That's power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever you attack, draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. This is the one that when it deals combat damage to player, roll d20 and then draw that many. And then the first time that happens, I mean, technically every time it happens, but it only matters the first time. It just says that you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. And this is the big boy with that cascades 4 times. And to cascade, you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less mana than this. You cast it without paying its mana cost. And then anything that you didn't get cast goes in the bottom of your library in random order. And you do that 4 times. And then our uninspired but necessary land section, Spring Heart. Anything interesting in our removal section? Oh, a thing that I started doing. Okay, so Nature's Claim, that's the 1 mana destroy target artifact or enchantment. The controller of what we destroyed gains 4 life. Check my... Okay, good. Anyway, sorry, I was just reading something. But yeah, these flash auras that remove all abilities of the enchanted creature. I've started using those in my blue decks. Fresh Start does that too. Loses all abilities. Loses all abilities. Search your library for up to X land cards, reveal them, put into your hand, shuffle your library, or deals twice X damage to each creature with flying. You know, whatever you need. Normally the second, but if you're sitting on a lot of cards that you can play that say put a land into the field, and you don't have a whole lot of hands in your hand, well, here you go. Destroy all global enchantments. That I believe that just... Nope, we have to go back. So this... we have to go to the rules. Nope, card info. Destroy all non-aura enchantments. Because we have a lot of aura enchantments in our removal suite. So, for those of you who've never seen this card before, it's $2.50 from Mirage, and it's only 1 in a green. If you're playing aura-based Enchantress, but you're worried about your opponent's non-aura enchantments, because this also gets enchantment creatures, at least the ones that aren't indestructible gods. So I'm glad I could probably show you something you didn't know before. And I think this set had one for all creature enchantments too. Utterance of Significance, that's the same thing, but we can also exile it if it becomes a problem anyway. Although that exile costs a colorless, so... oh, this one has Storm. So, you know, and because it's... so that copies become tokens. And of course, new targets for the copies. Imprison on the Moon, to be mean to your one of your opponent's commanders. This also has Flash. It makes it a food, so you got to be more careful with this one. So definitely you just don't put this on the commander, because they can pay 2 to sacrifice it to gain 3 life. But again, it has Flash, and that's why it stayed. Then we have Aetherize. That's the one that returns them to the attacking creatures of their opponent's hand. This destroys our artifacts, because we aren't playing any. There's not even Soul Ring in this deck, so I don't even think we can pay the colorless on that one thing. And then Observed Stasis. Oh, this one's mildly interesting. So it has Flash. When this aura enters, remove enchanted creature from combat, if that mattered. Then draw a card for each tapped creature its controller controls. And enchanted creature loses all abilities and can't attack or block. That makes it very, very dead, but still on the field. Stone Cold saying, oh, it taps, loses all ability and doesn't untap. That's cool. Tamiyo's Completion. Oh, this can hit artifacts and planeswalkers as well. It loses all abilities and doesn't untap again. Aether Spouts, that puts it at the top or bottom of their library, the attacking creatures. That is very gross. And oh, we do have colorless on our deck. We have Yamamaya Coast. Reliquary Tower, because we're presumably drawing a lot of cards. Oh, Flooded Grove. Look at me. I don't normally do this one, but I guess I was like, oh. So we do have a non-zero number of ways of getting colorless mana for that one time. So yeah, this deck probably isn't completely awful. Especially since we have a card that used to be a game changer in here. And it is literally just drawing extra cards and playing extra lands. If this was a Curse and More Often channel, this would be Simic BS. Or also the logical conclusion to Simic BS. Drawing extra cards, playing extra lands. I don't hate it. The deck is just funny to me. Now if I do this, yep. So grab. There we go. I just needed to make it forget that it selected stuff. There we go. So now we're going to start looking at these at the 2-hour mark. Basically, I think I'm just going to preview next week at this point, because it is just, well, it's now like what, Thursday? It is 2 a.m. on Thursday. Yeah. I missed playing this on Arena the first day it came out, but I played some Jumpstart of it on the second day, and I honestly think there are more interesting non-legendary things in this set than legendary things. Like, I like all of the prepared creatures just on principle. I think they're neat. Even if they're not all powerful, I think it's cool that you have this creature that comes with a spell attached that is, as long as they stay alive, depending on if it's an instant or sorcery, you can just cast this spell once or more, depending on how they get prepared. But like, let's look over the these legendary creatures in the base set. Let's order these by color. Ennis Debate Moderator. This is a 2-mana 1/1 human cleric. When it enters, exile up to one other target creature you control. Return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control to begin the next end step. That's just something if we wanted to put... Like, that doesn't work for the Boros Blink deck we made because that's next end step. But, like, any Azorius Blink deck that we made where it doesn't matter when they come back... Then at the beginning of your end step, if one or more cards are put into exile this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Ennis. This is a 2/4 for 3. When it enters, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, but also enters prepared, so we can cast Oracle's Gift as a sorcery. Create X00 green and blue fractal creature tokens, put X +1/+1 counters on each fractal you control. Okay, I'm not impressed with her. Ow. But I do like fractals as a gamey thing. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. New tab. Fractal. I'm gonna look up something to see if I can name this after a... Is it Mandelbrot set? Does this relate to fractals at all? Okay. Well, the name probably won't be accurate, but we'll call it the Mandelbrot set. Or just Mandelbrot. Delbrot. Mandelbrot. Unlisted. And we don't know who our commander is yet. But we know Jadzi is going to be in it. Close new deck helper. Okay, that makes me... Oh, she's this lady from the other deck. Okay. Neat. So, already we kind of want to make a fractal deck because I like fractals. This spell costs 3 less if creatures you control have total toughness 10 or greater, and if she enters, you draw 2 cards. So she's a 2/2 for 2 if you've already got a bunch of butt on board. When I played the jump in midweek thing, and I played, what was it, grave digging and then aesthetic, and she was in the blue half of that because it was green blue. But I never got to cast her for less, but whenever a creature controls power toughness 1 or less dies, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Okay. She apparently gets mad when the pests die. And she has Death Touch. When Morso enters, create a pest. That's the ones that die to give you a life. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. Okay. War to pay 3 life. That's always fun, but never really all that prohibiting. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may sacrifice 2 un-artifact. If you do, copy that spell. New targets for the copy. Okay. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have trample. But makes fractals. But it's differently named land. Since we'll be playing non-basics, that actually might matter. This was in the green half of the deck, which is funny because this has nothing to do with graves. Maybe I was wrong about what the first deck was, but whatever. So let's put Emil in the deck. And the only reason why we're reading stuff that aren't green or blue is because I want to see if we want to make another deck based on anything in here. Whenever you cast a creature spell, Abigail becomes prepared. Okay. What's her prepared spell? You can pay 1 in either white or black to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature at sorcery speed. Okay. I don't know if that's worth a whole deck, but that is cool. I do like that. It's like this optional tax of 2 to make something slightly bigger if you're swimming in mana. Nita form Conciliator. Whenever you cast a spell you don't own... Okay, I already don't like this. Oh, but you're sacrificing from an opponent's graveyard. Okay, that's fine. Stealing from graveyards is fine for me. Because that means they either used it, because since I don't play with discard or mill, that means they used it already. Uh, Whenever you cast a spell you don't own, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Okay, cool. 2. Sacrifice another creature. Exile target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. You may cast it this turn, and mana of any type may be spent to cast that spell. If that spell would be put into a graveyard, exiled instead. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay. So you can steal used instants and sorceries, which would be good to steal stuff with flashback. Just saying. But I don't know if I would build a deck around that. Although that sacrificing stuff in white-black in that sacrificing creatures in Silver Quill, I don't like that. That's Witherbloom for this set. Even though white-black sacrifices creatures in other sets, nah. Silver Quill is supposed to be different. Silver Quill, the Disputant. Flying Vigilance. Each instant and sorcery spell you cast has casualty 1. So yeah, they made Silver Quill kind of mean in this one with the sacrificing of creatures. Then I don't think I like that flavorfully because I felt that they weren't really into that before, because they were more about they were kind of a lot more aggro. As you cast that spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 1 or greater. When you do, copy the spell and you may choose new targets for the copy. I do like Silver Quill, the Disputant. I don't know. That, we're going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to call it Secrets of Silver Quill, since this is the Secret of Strixhaven Silver Quill deck. And because I like being fancy in these. And we already know what casualty does. And I think I'm going to put both Abigail and Nita in here just for now. Oh, that's right. She started as a first year. I'm spelling that wrong, aren't I? AVI Gale. It's the other Gale. Oh! She's the one that turns other things into herself. Yeah, didn't I make a deck around her? When she enters, up to one other target creature loses all abilities, but they become a flying first strike lifelinker. Yeah, we're not using that one, but we are using this one. There we go. Prismari the Inspiration. Oh, Silver Quill only costs 4, so I actually like that he's cheap to get out. Also not as strong as Prismari. Prismari the Inspiration. Ward, pay 5 life. That's a little bit more of a deterrent. hopefully by the time you get 7 mana. Instant and sorcery spells you cast have Storm. Uh, that is better than the 1,000-Year Storm, because at least this is a 7/7 creature with flying. Uh, I'm I'm not going to pretend to be smart enough to be able to sequence a turn good enough to Storm properly. Sonar enters prepared. Create a treasure token. Activate only if you've cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn. And their prepared spell is Wild Idea, 3 blue red. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay, that is a very expensive tutor. Sonar Unfinished Genius. Zaphi and the Tempests. Oh, they have a whole band. I wonder if that's an actual Tempest of Free back there that would technically make them not legal in Magic the Gathering. Is there a Tempest Djinn and a Tempest of Free? Once during each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. I don't think that's good enough for 7. Black Loafing Pest and poor Black's being dead. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on each pest, bat, insect, snake, and spider you control. That's neat for that deck. Luwin, Exchange Student. Yes, because this is from, they were from Lorwyn, and they decided to come to Silverquill to sign up after the events of Lorwyn, if I'm not mistaken. Lorwyn enters prepared. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Lorwyn becomes prepared. Activate only as a sorcery. And they have Pest Friend. So you... oh. I don't know if it's worth it to prepare them by exiling a creature card from your graveyard, but it's a 1-mana spell that's either black or green to create a pest. He likes the pests. Good for them. I switch between he and them, and I should just say them because I have no idea. Witherbloom the Balancer, affinity for creatures. That makes sense as long as you haven't been sacrificing your pests. Flying Death Touch, instant sorcery spells you cast have affinity for creatures. That is neat, but I don't think I want to make that deck, if I'm being honest. Aziza, Mage Tower Captain. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap 3 untapped creatures you control. If you do, to copy that spell. New targets for the copy, if you feel like it. Whenever one or more cards, and then this is Kiro History buff. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, Kiro becomes prepared. And they have Pack a Punch. Mill a card, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature, it gains trample until end of turn. And then Lorehold, the Historian, flying in haste. And a 5/5 for 5, good. Each instant and sorcery card in your hand has Miracle 2. Boy, I just wouldn't feel like keeping track of that. Miracle means that you can cast it for its miracle cost if you drew it that turn. Oh, if it's the first card you drew the turn. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Okay. And Lorehold does care about stuff being in your graveyard. I just don't want to take... I just really don't want to keep track of a Miracle, if I'm being honest. I probably made a Miracle deck somewhere in the 32 challenge. I just don't have that kind of energy. Oh, and then another new ability, Increment. This is like Evolve, but for spells that you cast. You've probably heard everyone else who talks about Magic say before me. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana to cast it was greater than this creature's power or toughness, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, which I think is neat. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on this one, oh, you get a mana of any color. Okay, that's neat. Oh, and she creates fractals. And it's Berta. I think I said Bretta. Oh, Wise Extrapolator. That's great. That is a possible commander. Because she's both of our colors. And she can just, and if we have nothing else to do with our mana between turns, because we don't do this on our own turn, if it's the end step right before us, we can just create a fractal if we feel like it. So I like that. Quandrix the Proof. Quandrix has Cascade, and then instant sorcery spells you cast from your hand have Cascade. Well, Quandrix doesn't go into this deck. And then Tam, Observant Sequencer. Landfall, when a land you control enters, Tam becomes prepared. And then for her spell is for a green and a blue, you draw a card and gain a life. Sorcery speed. Page Loose Leaf brings back Grandeur, which is interesting. Grandeur is not important for Commander, but for any of the 4 of formats, you discard another card that's a copy of this, that has the same name. Reveal cards from the top of your library. The rest of this part is unique to this one. Not all of them will do this. The Grandeur part is the discard another card that is this card. And they'll have a unique thing. This thing is 2 for 2 that taps for colorless, but reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an instant or sorcery. Put that card in your hand, the rest in the bottom of your library in random order. And then the Dawning Archaic. This spell costs 1 less for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. It's a 7/7 with reach for nominally 10. When the following Dawning Archaic attacks, you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. And then you would, and if that spell would go into a graveyard, exile it instead. I think that's everything from there that I care about. I mean, there's things that I admit are good, and my voice sounds weird to me today. I don't know why. But not a whole lot that I myself would make a deck for. Black, if I ever start doing typo stuff, Black and poor Blex, who is deceased as of this set, I might do like some kind of weird pest typo bracket 1 nonsense. We'll see. But yeah, from the main set, that is everything I cared about. Some of the things were neat, but like Witherbloom, maybe, I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff that I either don't want to track or don't want to deal with. So, and there's only 12 cards in here because we minused all the reprints. Augusta, Order Return, Flying Vigilance. Whenever Augusta attacks, each player exiles a card from their graveyard. When one or more non-land cards are exiled this way, put that many +1/+1 counters on target attacking creature. That is the Silver Quill I'm talking about. Nev, Practical Dean. Creatures who control the counters on them have trample. Whenever you cast your first spell with X in its mana cost each turn, this gets X +1/+1 counters. I will put Nev in the Mandelbrot one. They don't make them themselves. But they get counters. Oh, that reminds me. We want the Ozolith. Killian, Decisive Mentor. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, tap to one target creature and goad it. Oh. Goad in not red. Okay. Sorry. Just stupid nose. Whenever one or more creatures that are enchanted by an aura you control attack, draw a card. Okay. And then Scriv, the Obligator. It's an Oh, it's an inkling. Uh, I'm gonna turn off my mic for a hot minute. Yeah, I just had to deal with my nose. But this is an inkling that is on a card and not a token. So that's neat. This is probably like Killian's favorite inkling or something. But for 4 mana, we get a 2/3 with Flying Death Touch, which I like. Whenever Scriv enters or attacks, create a white or enchantment token named Contract attached to target creature an opponent controls. The token has enchant creature, and whenever enchanted creature attacks, it gets +2/+0 till end of turn if it is attacking one of your opponents. Otherwise, it's a controller, loses 2 life. See, now this is interesting. So I think Scriv should be the main commander. With Killian in the 99. And that also makes 2 Silver Quill decks. We're going to call this Inked Up. And that's Scriv. Very important. And it is technically Alt Commander. Because I like this. And it's enters or attacks, so I also want over here. Teleportation Circle, because it's enters or attacks, and even though it costs more, Conjurer's Closet. And just for more, ooh, what's your power? 2? Yes. And Elish Norn, because we're just evil. Legendary Permanent. Panharmonicon. Roaming Throne, even though it's literally only going to affect our commander. Panharmonicon is a copy effect. And you are also going to go into copy effect. And you say stacks, or you're going into copy effects. There we go. I'm going to check on something really quick. You went for that long. We are going for longer than that, aren't we? Yeah, well, that's fine. We will not have built any more decks by the end of this one. We're just setting them up. And I almost forgot what... we don't need that anymore. I almost forgot what window I was in. Muddle the Ever-Changing. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Muddle becomes a copy of up to one target non-legendary creature you control until end of turn, except it has Myriad. If I was better at Spellslinger, that would be really cool. Although I guess you don't need to sling spells, you just need to cast one on each of your turns. You just need to have a set of creatures that you want to would want to copy, and then you know, enough instants and sorceries that you can keep changing Muddle. It's also an elemental otter shapeshifter. Then Rutha, Mastering the Moment. I like how all the ones who were like, I think they were all freshmen in original Strixhaven, get to appear again in the Commanders stuff. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, create an XX blue and red elemental creature token with flying and haste, where X is the greatest mana value among instant and sorcery spells you've cast this turn. That's cool. I think we're going to set up for Muddle. Because that's the name of a card. Not appearing in this deck. I don't think. I don't remember what it does. Oh! It counters instant or sorcery spells, which we don't do. But it also has Transmute, which is weird as heck. So I'm going to do this. Oh, dang it. Dang my fingers. Not appearing in this deck. Although I actually do kind of want Rutha. But not, that's definitely not an alt commander, because we're definitely sticking with Muddle. I'm kind of thinking of like cheap creatures that it can copy, that have like good effects. Dina, Essence Brewer. She's always been fun. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, there we go. There's our Witherbloom Aristocrats. Draw a card once a turn. Pay 2 and tap, sacrifice another creature. You gain X life and put X+1 counters on target creature control with X sacrifice feature's power. I don't think I'm going to do anything with them, because I don't think you need my help. But I will just say, it's very tempting . trying to remember what old Dina did. But I think she was whenever you gain life, someone else loses life. Gorma the Gullet. Doesn't that mean like throat? Or specifically the part of the throat where you swallow food through? Anyway, it's a pest. Another legendary pest. But also a frog. Lifelink, whenever another creature you control dies, this thing gets a +1/+1 counter. Non-token creatures you control enter with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each creature that died under your control this turn. Okay, so that's some fun stuff. That is the head of this horse. It took me a while to figure that out when I first looked at this card. Excava, the Risen Past, Flying Haste, Spirit Horse, 3/3 for 4. Whenever Excava attacks, return up to one target artifact, creature, or non-or enchantment card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. But finality counters means that it the next time it dies, it's exiled instead. It is a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying in addition to its other types. Then Quintorius, History Chaser. He can be your commander even though he's a planeswalker. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. You may +1, discard a card. If you do, draw a card, and then mill a card. Oh, draw 2 cards, then mill a card. Interesting. Spirits you control gain double strike and vigilance until end of turn. That's the -4. Okay. Primo, the Unbounded. It's a fractal wolf. It costs green, blue, and X, and it enters with twice X +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever one or more creatures you control with base power 0 deal combat damage to a player, you get a fractal, and you put that many +1/+1 counters on it, equal to the damage. There's first spell you cast with X and its mana cost each turn costs 1 less to cast for each +1/+1 counter on Zimone. Whenever you cast your first spell with X and its mana cost each turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Zimone. Okay. Both of those, and I think Primo, the Unbounded, should be the commander of Mandelbrot. Which one was it? Infinite Analyst. And that's the last one. But now I want to go here see what those other ones that I don't recognize are. Oh, the All Questioning was what the heck set is that? Oh, that's a different one that I didn't see. Oh, Dustmorn. There we go. At the beginning of your end step, if a land enters the battlefield and you control this turn, and you control a prime number of land. Oh, good lord. But it makes a fractal, so all of this annoying reading makes a fractal eventually. As long as you know what a prime number is. Which they at least list, probably, they list way more than what's necessary. Actually, no. Like, if you somehow get all of the lands in your deck out, you'd have a little bit more than this. But yeah, so 2, 3, 5, and 7 are the most likely important ones. And this is Primo the Indivisible, which is different from Primo the Unbounded, just for the record. Then Zimone, Infinite Analyst. Zimone, Mystery Unraveler. Whenever a land you control enters, manifest Dread. None of that says Fractal. The Paradox Sculptor puts more +1/+1 counters on things, and then can double the +1/+1 counters on things. That feels... I don't know if I need that. I hate this Zimone the most. I don't know if I ever said that I actually... As much as I like the Strixhaven settings, Quandrix was the school that ticked me off the most, because they cared about drawing cards and playing lands. You can tell because this was their signpost uncommon. Like, sure, they had some things where it was like they cared if the power and toughness were equal, but they cared about you having 8 lands in play, and that was dumb. Like, sure, 8 is a number, and numbers are math, but it was still Simic lands. Buh. Zimone's Experiment. None of that says Fractal, so I don't care. And none of that. Okay. That creates Fractal. That doesn't create a Fractal. That doesn't create Fractals. That can create Fractals. She can create Fractals once, but that still creates Fractals. And you can create Fractals. There we go. Modify is modified. And ramp, question mark. And I didn't really put enough into the other ones. Oh, you can actually go into tokens. Okay, most of this last part was probably unnecessary, but I did say I would talk about them. So next week we'll actually get around to building these decks. 2 Silverquill, a Quandrix, and a Prismari. No Lorehold, which doesn't surprise me. I like that Boros got to do graveyard fun stuff, but that's just not my personal jam. And I just didn't feel, and as much as I like Witherbloom, and I'm fairly certain that's the college I'd end up in, I don't feel like messing with their stuff right now. I could change my mind depending on how long these take next week. But see you then. I'm actually mildly looking forward to it.